Happy Thursday, everybody, and good evening to you. The evening edition of Mornings with Michael is brought to you for informational and educational purposes only. Hope everybody had a great Thursday, and let's get to our charts. Let me share the screen. The bonds and the dollar backed off today, so everything looks a lot more green, except for Boeing, several utilities. But there we have it. Amazon was flat. Tesla was up 2.5%. Meta was up 2%. So we kind of see that. Once again, we'll share our annuity screen. I think most people should be in an annuity or something similar to it because you never lose money. Annuities beat the index investing by about 5%. How do they do this? They give you a bonus, cash bonus when you open your account of anywhere from 20 to 40%. And then they generate 6 to 9% annual earnings growth. And that's how they do it. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. And let's go to bring up our chart. Right here, we can see that the dollar has filled the gap from yesterday. Let's go to our news. Economic sentiment in the Eurozone fell for the 5th month in a row in September as the nation's bloc economic sentiment indicator declined to 93.3%. I just wanted to check, make sure we're all recording. The bull bear spread in American Association of Individual Investors weekly survey was down 13.1% versus 3.3% last week. Bulls fall to 27.8 from 31.3. Neutrals fall from 31.3 to 34.1. Actually, 31.3 from 34.1, and bears rise to 40.9 from 34.6. On to our company news. Caesar launches Sportsbook Live on mobile and desktop in Kentucky. And we didn't get that up there, but here it is. Caesars was up big earlier and pulled back to the middle of its range. Duckhorn portfolio. Q4 adjusted EPS 15 cents versus 13 cents. And it was down 5.2%. It was less than people were looking for. Earnings were up at 88%. Earnings surprise of 19.14%. GameStop, all the rage in 2020, I believe. Board of Directors has elected Ryan Cohen as President and Chief Executive Officer, effective immediately. And the stock is down almost 2% today. Lululemon and Peloton, as we spoke yesterday, of 5-year strategic global partnership through which Peloton will become an exclusive digital fitness content provider for Lululemon. Lululemon will become primary athletic apparel partner to Peloton. And did it follow through? Yes, it did follow through. It was up 5.38% today after being up after hours. Philip Morris cuts full year adjusted EPS to $5.96 to $6.05 from prior $6.13 to $6.22. and their stock rises incredibly 3%. Amazing. Uber announces a new CFO coming from Analog Devices in November, names Pras Hunt Mahendra Raja as CFO, replacing Chai. And their stock is up on the news. Take a look, see if there's anything in sympathy. And Lyft is up about 19 cents, 1.84%. In autos, GM, Ford, and Stellantis, UAW could expand strikes in Detroit 3. Interesting, it was up 2.5% today. You wouldn't expect that. Ford up as well. Maybe it has something to do with the dollar and the treasury bill is coming down. So on to energy, HB Fuller, Q3 EPS $1.06. This is $1.14 estimate with revenues of $900.6 million, below the $954 million estimate. And amazing, it's up big time. They do expect actions from a strategic restructuring to generate between 40 million and 45 million in annual pre-tax run rate cost savings in 2023. That's a huge volume, pretty amazing. Could be a double bottom here. Here's the middle, the W pattern. Just see if it can continue. Looks like we've had some blue spikes over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. TAN. Solar stocks have tumbled in 2022 as the solar ETF TAN made another 52-week low today. It tried to bounce back, but it's pretty interesting as oil prices kind of are surging. Ryanair announces cuts to its winter schedule due to delays in delivery of Boeing. They sold off initially and then bounced back up 0.83%. They've had a huge volume, pretty much 2 days in a row. And let's take a look at Boeing was down, as we saw in our heat map. This continues down in a downward spiral. FTI gets 500 million to 1 billion contract for Equinor's Rosebank. It's just kind of hanging out here in a trading range, kind of some sort of channel. Designs, manufacture, and services systems for land and offshore exploration, production of oil and gas. Worthington Industries Q1 EPS $1.93 versus $2.04, and the shares kind of collapsed down close to 13.5%. Jeffries Q3 profit declined 74% as EPS was 22 cents below the estimate, 33 cents. And amazing, it was up today. Initially sold way off, then it got some buying, and it was up almost 2%. Go figure. IBKR announced consolidation of its European brokerage operations with their Interactive Brokers Central Europe, based in Budapest, Hungary, merging its client base and operations of Interactive Brokers Ireland. And they're was off slightly, 0.31%. China Evergrande Group shares were suspended on Thursday. Hong Kong's exchange announced the chairman of the embattled Chinese real estate developer has reportedly been placed under surveillance, according to Bloomberg News. On to healthcare. This is a big mover today. Phoenix reported positive results from a mid-stage trial of treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder to the phase 2b trial evaluating BNC210 led to a statistically significant reduction in total PTSD symptom severity at 12 weeks. And look, it's up 242%. And look at the volume. Actually, the volume has been pretty strong last few days. So if you are following this, should have been watching the volume because there's impending some news. It sold off on low volume, although the sell-off was kind of severe, but it was nothing compared to the volume on the up days. And GRTS said late Wednesday they secured a $433 million contract by the US government to conduct mid-stage study of its mRNA-based COVID-19 vaccine candidate. And it was up, can't really tell here, this verbiage was here, but we'll go over and look at it on the 60-minute chart. You can see it's up quite a bit, up 31%, I believe. Yeah, up 31%. Pretty amazing move in a day. IMVT 7.37 share secondary priced at $38. Didn't really move too much on that news. I guess it moved yesterday. Still up 0.7%. KRTX, Karuna Therapeutics announced the submission of a new drug application, US FDA KARXT for the treatment of schizophrenia, and their stock is up 1.52%. Onto technology, media, and telecom. Workday is in the news. Shares fall 9% after lowering its subscription revenue growth outlook for the next 3 years at 2023 Analyst Day. Says it sees subscription growth between 17 and 19%, down from the prior view of 20% plus growth. Micron Technologies, chipmaker, it's down Q4 adjusted EPS loss of $1.07 versus estimate of $1.18, and revenues of $4.01 billion versus estimate of $3.91, and big share sell-off today based on that. On to Apple. New iPhone 15 are heating up in some scenarios, reaching high temperatures that make them difficult to touch at certain times, according to reviews tested by the Wall Street Journal and social media posts from buyers in China, the US, and Canada. And the stock is up 0.15%. And finally, Concentrix. Q3 adjusted EPS $2.71 versus $2.85. And still the stock gaps up nearly 7%. Closed on its low for the day, but it's pretty amazing. So let's move on. Take a look at what was moving in the market today. Take a look at our trending ETFs. Financials got a little bump on that reduced yield on the bonds. Commercial services with Yahoo and Facebook jumping. So, of course, the index moved quite a bit, up 1.10%. And XDI closed down, but it closed on its high for the day. And IBB, very similar action. Software, it got a bounce when the pullback of the yield. Technology, I would imagine it's about the same. Semiconductors, pretty similar to technology. Building materials, got a bounce as well. Building stocks as well, and metals and mining, huge jump there. Wow. Let's look at the dollar. Filled the gap, as we said. See what happened with gold. Gold didn't really get much of a move. It sold off again. Silver did get a bounce, up 0.19%. Got a bounce in Arrow copper. Got a big bounce in Southern copper, gapped up actually above its 200-day moving average. And Freeport McMoran gapped up as well. So that's kind of a look there. Our bonds surged higher and then sold off into the close. This gave a breather to our stocks. Pulled back to about 4.6%. 20-year bond did about the same. Pulled back to 3.92. And our volatility index tried to move up a little bit earlier and pull back. S&P had a little bit of a bounce, 0.58%. The NASDAQ was up 0.84%. We'll see if these guys have hit bottom. A lot of it determined by the yields in the bonds. Small cap stocks, which led the day yesterday, lead again today, up 0.9%. Maybe a lot of the oil and gas issues and banking issues are in here. And the Dow Jones even got a bounce. Looks like the weakest, 0.35%. And let's take a look what where most of the money was moving today. Got a big move in Encino. A 2020 IPO provides cloud-based software solutions to banks and financial institutions. We've been getting a lot of volume, positive volume over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We did get a little selling over here. Something to keep an eye out. Got expected 33% earnings growth in 2025. Fabrinet is up big. Look at all this blue volume. Contract manufacturer of switches, cables, and receivers. Jabal, I believe, hit the high, all-time high. Massive buying over here. Earnings were up 5%, 14% plus earnings surprise. Progress Software got a little bit of buying. Didn't get too much of a movement, although it was up 1.25%. Summit Materials and Metals and Mining up pretty big, 3.29%. Huge volume, 2 days in a row after a number of selling days. Continued buying in Net Cloudflare, 2 days in a row. Huge volume yesterday and continued, although not quite as much today. See if it can get above the 50-day moving average. Looks like the relative strength line is trending up. We'll just see if it can hit new highs. Got a little ways to go there. Chinese issue that keeps getting buying, and once again, after a little sell-off here, consolidation, we got 3 out of 5 days of strong buying again. NBS, got strong buying here. Swiss developer of branded generic pharmaceuticals, working on a base here. We'll see if it can pop up into this blue area again. Alliance Resource Partners, MLP, engaged in production and marketing of coal. As we understand, coal is used a lot in production of energy, and energy for electricity for a lot of these EVs are requiring coal. So this is probably why this is moving up. Broke out over here at 2069. Looks right over here. Some pretty good volume on that day, and it just continues the trend upward. Train Technologies, it's a little bit of a bounce, 2 days in a row, up a little over 2%. And finally, on the buying side, Synopsys got a pretty good move here, up 3.13%. We'll just have to see what the yield on the bond gives us tomorrow. If it bounces back and stocks sell off. On the downside, we looked at Workday earlier. Acadia Pharmaceuticals had a big move up yesterday, huge sell-off today, down 16%. Not sure what's going on with that. CWEN, Clearway Energy, contracted renewable local energy continues to sell off, down 3.26%. Xterra Energy, its energy is going in the wrong direction, down to about 5%. Continued sell-off. And InMode, Israeli seller of radio frequency devices for minimally invasive cosmetic procedures, hit a high over here and has been on a downtrend ever since. Maybe they're just not selling those machines anymore. Down about 5% today. That's the look at where the big money is moving. And let's take a look at relative strength leaders. Jabel, that big move. Relative strength really jumped here, up 97%. Also in same area, Fabrinet. This rushes into a new high. We can see here, relative strength line jumped up here, 96, beating 96% of S&P 500 companies. Huge volume. Vista Energy hit a new high on the relative strength. It's up pretty good 3 days in a row. Volume is increasing, up 2.5% today. Capital Northwest. Business development for early stage expansion of financing broke out at a consolidation here. Relative strength at a new high. Broke out, I guess right over here is where it kind of broke out. Actually, when selling off, it was still rising. But today was really the breakout on the stock price. Got some pretty good volume there. Let's take a look at Splunk. Huge volume over here. Gap up. Got two gaps ups in a row. Gapped up on the earnings per share. And wonder if they don't have a cash offer. We'll have to see if there's any news on that. Don't really see anything in the news on that. We'll just have to look further. Let's see if there's any. We'll just have to get back to that. And finally, I'm going to take a look at Costco. Breaking through some consolidation here. Huge volume on their earnings. Got a little follow-up volume today. So that's where things are moving on a relative strength basis. And that's our education section on relative strength line. Signals earlier where the stock price is going to break out. And so this is a little handy tool to use, this little blue line right over here as it breaks out over here. Let's take a look at some of the issues that we've been looking at. Looks like continued support on SPLK. We'll see if it can build on the right side of its cup over here. Greenwich Life Sciences got a little bounce, so tiny, but still was up 2.57% today. Increase in volume of 8%. You'd want to see it to get above these moving averages before doing anything. Relatively, the volume is still pretty low. We got out of Kava earlier today. As it moved down, tried to come back today up, but we need to see it bounce back. Maybe it's going to work on a double bottom down here on a bottoming base. Long term positive, but we need to see some buying support as it goes through the investors' due diligence period, and definitely below where came out publicly on the IPO basis. So take a look at Zoom. Zoom got a big bounce today on pullback on the yields. Roku had a little bit of a bounce up, 0.65%. Meta moved above the $300 number. Not a huge move, but it was up 2%. Less volume on the selling volume yesterday, even though it was kind of a pink rally day as it bounced off of the initial sell-off. And that's our show for today. Hope everybody has a great Friday. I'll catch you tomorrow. In the meantime, keep working on your goals and your activities, and you'll be surprised where it leads you. If you have any questions about your financial goals, we're always here to help you. Have a great day.